Support for Destination Michigan is provided by the CMU Bookstore. T-shirts, sweatshirts, hats, maroon and gold memories, and an official outfitter of Adidas apparel at the Central Michigan University-owned and operated CMU Bookstore. Online shopping 7 days a week at cmubookstore.com. The CMU Bookstore, online at cmubookstore.com, on campus in the University Center, and game day locations at Kelly Short Stadium and the John G. Kohalby Events Center.
Hello everyone, I'm Matthew Ozanek and welcome to Destination Michigan. Let's go right ahead and take a peek at what we have coming up for you in this episode. We're starting things off in the Motor City to discover the artwork of brothers Erik and Israel Nordin at the Detroit Design Center. Then Steve Smith is heading to Ludington to visit the Carrom Company, where we turn back the clock and have some good old-fashioned fun. Stephanie Mills will be visiting the Crystal Lake Alpaca Farm in Frankfort, and we're honestly not sure if she'll ever come back. You won't believe your eyes when we show you what's about to unfold in this eagle's nest along the Platte River, and we'll see how one Michigan company took a concept typically reserved for sci-fi movies and made it a reality. All of these stories are coming your way on this episode of Destination Michigan. You know, when you get to spend your life doing what you love, you really can't ask for much more than that. But when you get to share those experiences with those closest to you, well, that makes it even more special. And artists Erik and Israel Nordin of Detroit know just what that's like. Driven by their shared passion and inspired by their hometown, they've cemented a place for themselves in Detroit's artistic community. So we're kicking off this episode of Destination Michigan with a trip to the Motor City to check out the Detroit Design Center. Take a walk through this warehouse and you'll come across a hodgepodge of all different kinds of materials, metals and glass and wood, but all without form and just kind of dull. That is until Erik and Israel Nordin get to work. The Nordin brothers have called Detroit home for their entire lives. They describe themselves as artists who create objects for spaces, and their work can be found all over the Metro Detroit area. They've also been hired to make trophies like this one, dubbed the Iron D for the Michigan versus Michigan State hockey game. We sat down with the brothers Nordin at their studio in Detroit to chat about art and family. What was that moment where you guys realized, okay, this is what we want to do, and this is something that we want to do together, is to make art and make sculptures?
I think it was pretty early on. We all had to play musical instruments and take art classes and academically achieve and all those different things, and we were pushed to find our passion. So our parents told us that if you found something that you loved more than everybody else, then you could be the best at it. So not to say that we love sculpture more than anybody else, but we love it a lot and we love it more than anything else, and that's why we've chosen it to be our career.
What was important to us too was, once graduated and we started the company, was staying in Detroit and trying to make a difference. And a lot of our friends left Detroit to go to other cities, New York, LA, and other places that maybe had a more vibrant art scene. But we really believed in the city and wanted to stay here, work here, live here, and make a difference. And that was important to us.
And does the city of Detroit kind of inspire you guys too? I have to imagine it could be a lot of source of inspiration for a lot of the artwork that you guys do. Do you feel that the city has kind of served that role here?
You wouldn't say it's the Steel City, but it definitely, has the historical architecture, the music, and Motown, and there's just so many amazing creative elements of Detroit that you can be inspired by every day.
And one of the pieces that you recently worked on was the Iron D trophy for the Michigan State-Michigan hockey game. Tell us a little bit about what that experience was like.
Well, number one, we're huge hockey fans,
Yeah.
Both the Red Wings and of the universities. And when we were approached by the Red Wings to create something that was more than just bragging rights, to create something that was, something that they could take back, something they could battle for. Red Berenson and Tom and Nass both came down to the studio and were part of forging this D. And to have them come down and kind of feel that hammer, the weight of it, the heat, it was a very primal thing. But when you think of hockey in some ways, it's a pretty primal sport, right?
It's a heavy trophy too, right?
Heavy trophy, yeah. The trophy's almost twice the weight of the Stanley Cup.
Part of the Detroit allure is thick and heavy, and just strong. So that was important for us to make this trophy really seem like this Detroit trophy that just had some weight behind it and it wasn't messing around.
Now, I have two brothers, and I know we wouldn't be able to put together a birdhouse without getting into a fist fight. So what's it like being able to work every day with your brothers to have this shared passion?
Even if something comes out of his mouth that is the best idea yet, I'm gonna scrutinize it because that's what I do. I'm not here to say, oh yeah, sure, that's great. And he's not there the same way. You know, it's like we really put each other's, you know, the content that we're putting out there, we run it through the ringer and look at it and find faults in it. So we really have that, you know, honest relationship with one another that there's good and bad.
I believe like in this yin and yang thing that Israel and I have. He inspires me every day. We try to come to the decisions to ourselves, you know, but when we get to a moment where there's something that's more subjective, then it really is at that point kind of leaning out to our client to say, you know, this really is a subjective thing. So, you know, that kind of creates a little bit of additional collaborative and this kind of collection of minds to come together.
You guys have been doing this for quite a while. What do you do to keep that kind of creativity fresh?
One of our things that we say is that, you know, we're explorers. We are
Adventuresome.
Yeah, adventuresome, but we're always looking for new things and trying new things. And I think just exercising the mind. Israel will do a lot with things that have to do with balance and structure and engineering and all these kind of really cool things. And I think we each have our own method.
And I think that it doesn't take much for us to get inspired because, you know, not that our expectations are low, it's just that we see beauty in a lot of different things. We try to digest it and absorb what we can out of it and see the beauty in situations. And, you know, if there is negative energy outshining some of the beauty, we think, how could we change that, you know? Inspiration is out there all over the place, and it's just life, you know, but it isn't anything that is complicated. It isn't anything that is, you know, you have to buy. It's just living and just being conscious of living, and just it's all around us, everywhere.
If you'd like to see more of Erik and Israel's work, they have many items on display at the Michigan Design Center in Troy, or you can go to their website, DetroitDesignCenter.com. And from downtown Detroit, we're hopping in the Destination Michigan mobile and heading to the town of Ludington on the Lake Michigan shoreline. It's here one small company has been in the business of bringing families together for over 120 years. Destination Michigan's Steve Smith is here to share with us the story of the Carrom Company.
1, 2, 3.
Does this work setting resemble break time at your office? Probably not, but it's the spirit of fun that has kept Carrom Industries in business for nearly 130 years. As the story goes, the legendary Carrom board game was the concept of a Ludington Sunday school teacher.
In 1889, Henry Haskell saw boys hanging around pool halls and said, you know, it's a bad habit. So he created a game called the Carrom game board to bring the kids back into the families, bring them home.
A touch of irony, Carrom went on to manufacture pool tables for a spell. But the Sunday school teacher was onto something. Carrom just might be one of the most versatile board games on the market.
The Carrom board is a unique game because it has over 100 games built into it. So the instructions show you the Carrom game, alterations of the Carrom game. On the other side, there's crokinole. There's so many games. There's a game for everybody. Along with the Carrom game board, which is our staple game, we have games like Skittles. We have a shuffleboard tabletop game. We have a balance board, which is it's all for coordination and strength. We also manufacture foosball games and stick hockey. These are all fast action games. Knock hockey is a very popular game too, and we've built that for 75 years. Nice.
Oh.
And with Carrom's annual sales exceeding 65,000 games each year, you quickly realize games and puzzles amount to a $1.9 billion industry.
The tabletop game board, from 2015 to 2016, they grew 18%. So it's a growing industry still. We've got grandparents buying these, parents buying them, millennials and children still playing these games. It's gonna be around for a while.
A relatively small staff keeps Carrom Industries in the game, so to speak.
So Tim, what's your history with the company?
I graduated in '76, and that fall in August I started here. and I've been here ever since.
And then there's Charlie. With 30 years under his belt, he can do every job in the shop.
In Ludington here we have just under 20 employees. We all are very efficient. We have many hats. We wear many hats and we can do a lot.
Inside the plant, the sounds and smells of a wood shop come alive. You see sawing, drilling, screwing, hammering, gluing, assembling, and then carefully packaging up each handcrafted game to be sent on its way to join a new family.
I hear of stories of people who have had these in their family for 100 years. So they're long lasting, they're built to last, they're quality. People have had these in their houses for generations.
Vintage Carrom boards decorate the walls in the company's offices. All have their own distinct personalities.
This is the Carrom board that's hanging in my office. It's one of my favorites because it's called Flag of the Nations. It was built between 1902 and 1914. And it's called the Flag of the Nations because of the assortment of flags around the crokinole side of the board. It's just a beautiful board with the graphics on it.
All right, so my game needs a lot of work.
Take two.
But we had a great time at Carrom Industries and created some fun memories at the same time.
We would just like for families to unplug and connect and really get back to simple things in life and play these games and build those memories and enjoy your time together.
Now, in addition to game board enthusiasts, Carrom's other major customers are Amazon, Wayfair, Haynoodle, and Target.com. Now, there's a reason that whenever you drive by an alpaca farm, you immediately find yourself being drawn to it. And whether it's curiosity or fascination, you're not alone, because curiosity got the better of Stephanie Mills, who just had to stop by the Crystal Lake Alpaca Farm in Frankfort. Now, thankfully, she came back and decided against being an alpaca farmer, at least for now.
Crystal Lake Alpaca Farm in Frankfort will soon become one of your favorite destinations. We had so much fun getting to know these incredibly curious, unique, and cuddly animals.
We have lived here for about 25 years, but we've had alpacas only for about 14 now. We went to our very first alpaca farm and we fell in love. It was not even a thought. We knew we were going to get alpacas.
The next time you see an alpaca, look the other way. These animals are thieves.
That's why we have the sign on the pasture fence that says, "Caution, they will steal your heart," because they do. We started off with 6, but a few of them were pregnant. The gestation is 11.5 months. We had babies, or crias, the next spring. We got them in the fall, so the next spring we started having babies, and we're at about 50 right now. We do sell quite a few. We also breed off of our farm. We do a lot of breedings. A lot of farms come here for breedings.
Chris and Dave Nelson fell under the alpaca's spell the moment they laid eyes on them. After spending just a few minutes with them, we too became mesmerized.
They all actually have different personalities. They have been domesticated since day one. They are just very gentle, docile, sweet, intuitive animals. They're not aggressive. They are wonderful mothers. They are called the therapeutic animals because they calm you. They nibble on the grass. They have padded feet. So the way they treat Mother Earth is very gentle, so they're called the green animal. And they create the most wonderful, warm, soft fiber known to man. There's no downside to alpacas.
Alpacas were actually created between 5,000 and 6,000 years ago when the Incas bred llamas and vicuñas. They were made so that the royalty could have clothing made with the best fiber, while commoners would wear clothing made from just llamas. Fast forward to modern times at Crystal Lake Alpaca Farm, the alpacas get shorn once a year. The fiber then gets cleaned and processed before being sold right here at their boutique. But that isn't the only benefit of an alpaca.
Alpacas are very clean. They have communal potties, so there's only a couple areas in the pasture they'll go potty. And in the barn we have boxes and they step into the box to go to the bathroom. So their cleanup is very, very simple. And their manure is called black gold. In South America they dry it for fuel and we use it as fertilizer.
The more time we spent with these beautiful animals, the harder it became to leave them. So we had to ask about spitting and got the most surprising answer.
Alpacas generally do not spit unless they feel like they're going to be hurt. They might spit at each other, like you're hogging the fan, you're eating out of my food bowl. One of the times we prefer them to spit is when it's called a spit check. So we breed the male and the female, and we wait 10 days. The males are in a different barn, and then we bring the male back to visit with the female, and if she turns around and looks at his face and spits in his face, she's pregnant.
The fact of the matter is this: it is next to impossible not to fall in love with these enchanting animals. So beware, it's true. These animals are thieves. They will steal your heart.
It just doesn't get any better than this. They're just sweet. You know, the world around you changes. Alpacas just don't. Animals don't change. I cannot ever imagine not having alpacas. They're very easy to take care of, and they're calming, and they're sweet, and now we have grandchildren, and the grandchildren love them. So we're already planning shows to go to in the future, and we'll always do this. This is our future, is the alpaca farm.
When the alpacas aren't spending their time nibbling on the grass at the farm, they're traveling around the country snatching up blue ribbons at alpaca competitions. If you'd like to learn more about the fuzzy residents at the Crystal Lake Alpaca Farm, you can visit their website, crystalllakealpacafarm.com. You know, so many of Mother Nature's miracles often happen out of the limelight and without any fanfare. But there's a project going on right now at the Platte River State Fish Hatchery near Honor that's giving people from all around the world the opportunity to witness the birth of one of America's most majestic creatures. Destination Michigan's Steve Smith is back, and he's heading up to Benzie County to check out the Carrom TV Eagle Cam.
Visitors to the Platte River State Fish Hatchery come to see the birthplace of the Great Lake Salmon Program. But an eagle's nest that towers 100 feet above the facility has been dominating the attention of late. No need to climb a tree to see what's up, just fire up your computer.
It's kind of a partnership between the DNR and Carrom TV, Carrom Media. In the spring of 2015, we started working with them, and through the summer about, hey, let's get an eagle cam here. By the fall of 2015, they were out here setting things up, getting it ready, climbing the tree, putting the camera up in there when the eagles weren't using the nest. Spring of 2016, we were ready to roll. Had a full season last year, got to watch 2 eagles hatch and fledge out, and now we've got a set of the same pair up there with 2 eggs.
Carrom TV says the camera's up-close and personal peek into the eagle's privy moments is perpetuating 250,000 peeps per month. But today is an extra special day for viewers. One of the eaglets is ready to break free of its shell.
One of the eggs does have the beginning of a crack or opening in it. And if you listen closely, if you're watching or in the eagles change the guard, and you listen closely, you can hear small peeps. So there is at least one that is about ready to hatch right now.
The world watches as a new eaglet is born. Now, mom and dad do what mom and dads do.
But I'm going to say that they're decent parents. It was the spring of 13 was their first year here. It is the same 2 birds every year. So this is their fourth family, I guess, if you want to call it a family. And they've done a good job with raising them, keeping food in the nest and available for their hatchlings. Once they hatch, the adults will continue to lay on them until it really gets warm, probably June, before the adults are laying on them all the time. They're there one will be laying on them, the other one will be out hunting. They come back with food regularly.
Carrom TV is bringing outdoors indoors with 4.8 million monthly viewers among all its channels.
In fact, last time I checked, they're putting more and more of these bird cams out there. If you're interested in other things besides eagles, falcons, hawks, owls, they're really expanding their coverage.
And let's not forget the DNR's Platte River State Fish Hatchery.
We raise, at this point, 1.5 million coho salmon every year and around 900,000 Chinook salmon every year. We also raise about 180,000 Atlantic salmon as well.
But that isn't the only thing fishy going on here. What was that mysterious creature caught on camera?
So there's a clip on Carrom TV where there was a Yeti sighting. Does Bigfoot live around here?
I've seen the clip. It's quite interesting. It looks like a Cro-Magnon ape-style thing was moving through the woods. If I had to guess, I would say a human dressed up in something and knew the camera was there and did it for attention.
So we return to the nest as little eagles become big eagles, almost as big as their parents by late summer. Like rebellious teens, the children are ready to set forth and see the world. And we wait for next March for the cycle to begin again.
August, they're fledging, they're getting ready to leave the nest, they're taking their first flights. We'll see them along the river flying. Boy, by September, they're gone. I mean, we hardly ever see them anymore.
Sadly, the folks at Carrom TV report that one of the eaglets did not survive, calling it just a harsh reality of nature. Thankfully, the other eaglet is alive and well, and we'll all have the opportunity to watch him make his new home in northern Michigan. Now, the story behind our final destination was definitely a first for our entire crew. Steve Smith is going to take us to a place that just might be our portal to the future, a place where no man has gone before. So we're going to head to the Cryonics Institute in Clinton Township, where they're hoping to unlock the secrets to life after death.
You got to do something with your body when you die. You can get buried, you can get cremated, and you can get frozen. Guarantees come with burial and cremation. Guarantee if you get buried, you'll rot, and if you get cremated, you're going to be ashes. With freezing, it may work, it may not work.
Cryonics was first conceptualized in the 1960s by Robert Ettinger. He got the idea from a science fiction novel, and in the 1970s opened the Cryonics Institute.
Incorporated in 1976. And the first patient was in 1977. And from 77 till 85, we've only had that one patient, or until 87, we only had one patient. And then in 1987, we got a second patient. And then from there on, it started about 6 or 8 patients a year, and currently we've got 151 patients.
Today, roughly 400 people have opted for cryonics worldwide. The Cryonics Institute also preserves pets and DNA samples.
We got anywhere from just your average blue-collar worker and doctors, lawyers, mechanics, college students. It seems to me that we're getting a lot more younger members. When I first started here, most of our members were middle-aged to older. Now we're getting a lot of people in their 20s that are joining.
Cryonics involves a vitrification process. The body is cooled in an ice bath, the blood is removed and replaced with a solution that helps protect the brain and body tissue. Then the body is frozen to a -196 Celsius and placed in a storage unit filled with liquid nitrogen.
The storage units are like a giant thermos bottle. You could look at them that way. They don't run on electricity. It's liquid nitrogen that keeps them cold, so we replenish the liquid nitrogen once a week.
So far, cryonics is unproven.
No mammal, nothing has ever been revived from being frozen, down to liquid nitrogen temperatures. They have vitrified rabbit kidneys and then thawed them and then transplanted them back into the rabbit, and the rabbit survived, the kidney functioned. The Department of Defense right now has a big program. They are trying to freeze organ banking. I think they're putting $10 million into it, to the different teams. When they're successful doing that, the human body is nothing more than a lot of organs put together. So if they're successful doing that, then I would see that actually reviving humans is the next step.
Zawacki says even though no humans have been revived yet, He's optimistic that technological advances will make it possible in the future.
I don't know if it'll ever even work. I think that it should. I'm more optimistic. If you just look back at time, organ transplants 100 years ago, you couldn't do that. Now you can do them. Cloning, that wasn't possible. Stem cells and regenerating tissue and things like that, and the 3D printing, that was unheard of, but they're doing it. And so what's it going to be in another 50 years or 100 years? You see how fast technology advances. Like,
say a person died of cancer and they came up with a cure for that specific cancer. Is that the time that you would try and revive them and then administer the drug or whatever the treatment is?
There's a lot of things that have to take place other than just cure that cancer. There's going to have to be repairing the freezing damage, and you're going to have to be able to cure what they died from, the disease, treat the disease, and you're also going to have to stop aging or reverse it, but at the very minimum stop it, because if a person's older and you revive them just to die of old age again quickly, there's no point.
The Cryonics Institute requires a membership fee and $28,000 to $35,000 to preserve your body. Zawacki recognizes there are skeptics and a lot of questions still to be answered, but adds,
logically, it wouldn't make any sense to do anything else, because nothing else gives you the option of a possible revival.
And with that, this episode of Destination Michigan comes to a close. And from all of us here, thank you for watching, and we'll see you next time.